Hi boys and girls, today I am going to walk you through the first thing that you are going to be working on in Summit, which is the place value concept unit. My screen right now looks a little bit different than yours just because I'm in the teacher version and you're going to be in the student version, but what I'm going to be showing you is pretty much the same. So when you start a new concept unit or project in Summit, the first thing that you want to do is take a look over on the right hand side where it says concept unit info. This is where you're getting all of the information about what you're going to be doing. So the essential question that you're going to be answering, the enduring understanding that you are going to have by the end of this concept unit, and the description. So this over here tells you what you are going to be learning and how you're going to be learning it. So you'll just start off by reading those to understand what the purpose of this is going to be. Now with the concept units, you can think of those as like traditional learning, where you are going to be completing activities and assignments, and then at the end, you are going to have a test, or what you now call as a performance task or a final project. These are different from the projects because you're not going to be graded on the cognitive skills. It's just going to be graded on whether you've answered it correctly or incorrectly. This is only true for math. All the other subjects only have projects. So that's why we've combined this course into math and science combined, so that you're having a combination of your concept units where you're learning the skills and your projects where you're applying and creating. So you have your concept unit info over here on the right. Below that, you have your math concepts. So you're going to be learning about place value in this concept unit. Sometimes you'll have more than one. There's also a rubric here that shows you how you will be graded on your understanding. So at the end, after you've completed your final project and all of your checkpoints, we will go back at everything that you've turned in and see where you fall on this rubric. If you are providing no evidence of understanding place value at all, so that would mean you got everything wrong on your checkpoints, you got everything wrong on your final product, that's probably not going to happen. Versus 5 over here all the way on the right, you use place value understanding to round decimals to any place. So if you can prove that you are able to round decimals to any place that you're given, and mathematically justify patterns in numbers of zeros and or placement of a decimal point when a number is multiplied or divided by a power of 10. So understanding how the decimal point can change what numbers are worth and their value of the digits, and how you can use powers of 10 to change that. You also have your Common Core state standards. So you are going to be learning these 4 standards during this one concept unit. Now let's scroll back up to the top here. Now in this concept unit, it's broken down into 3 different sections. You have your final product, that's what you are going to be doing at the end of this assignment. You have your checkpoints and resources, which is all of those activities and smaller assignments that you are going to complete before completing your final product. And then you have your additional resources. So they always put the performance task again at the bottom. This performance task and this performance task are actually the same thing. It's just in 2 different spots. I'm not too sure why. And then we have our project calendar. We're always going to start with our project calendar because that's going to give us the ability to map out how long we can spend on each thing so that we have the assignment done in the time that it is due. Now for this particular assignment, it is due, let's just check. Doesn't show us there. Hold on one sec. So on your scope and sequence, you'll see that the very first thing we're working on is place value, and we are going to start this project in the first week of school, and it's going to be due on September 29th. So if we go back to your concept unit here, when we are mapping out on the project calendar, our final date needs to be on September 29th. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to put September here. You're going to put your name so that in case you lose it, it can come back to you. And then we're going to map out each day of September. So September 1 is on a Friday. So we would have September 1, we put a little 1 there, 2, 3, 4, and so on for the whole entire month. You would show on here September 29th, and you would write in that box, wherever it is, project or place value, performance task, due. And then you would have to backtrack. So you're going to do this with the teacher and your team to decide what would make sense as to where we should hold ourselves accountable for having each one of these assignments due. And what we're really talking about when we're saying assignments is this right here, all of these checkpoints and all of these resources. I'm going to expand these just so that you can see them quickly. You need to have all of this done, all of this done, and this done before, like a week before the 29th, because then that gives you a couple of days to make sure that this is completely finished. So this performance task needs to be turned in by the 29th, because after the 29th you're going to start something completely new. So we're going to have to move on, and you don't want to be stuck behind. So when you're mapping out on this calendar, you might say, well, I'm going to spend 3 days on this first resource, and then I'm going to spend 2 more days on this second resource. So then I'm going to put place value chart should be finished by this date, or whatever you decide with the teacher. Let's take a look at a couple of these resources. So when you're looking at your checkpoints are basically, you can think of those as a quiz. Those are the things that are going to be turned into the teacher to be checked and graded on. The resources are what is going to prepare you so that you can do this assignment. So in this particular resource, you have your place value chart, a place value chart that you can edit, and a place value blend space. And you are going to work on these with your team in order to get ready to do this. So you always do the resources in order, and then you circle back up and you do your checkpoint, because all of these checkpoints are getting you ready to do this. So let's take a look at this first one. It says place value chart. This place value chart is a reference for you to use if and when you need it. Also, check out the place value chart posted on the wall of the classroom. So in the classroom, you're also going to see a giant place value chart. This is not something that you actually have to do. This is just a resource for you that you can save in your folder. You can look it over with your team and use it as you're doing this concept unit. So some of the things that you have to do for your resources aren't actually doing anything. It's more of just something that you save and you look at and you use when needed. It's the same thing with this right here. So this is a place value chart. Put this place value chart in your page protector. You can then write on it with a whiteboard marker and erase after each problem. This is a great resource to help you determine which digit is in which place value. So this is also posted on the project wall, which I will show you shortly. And you can put this in a page protector and then write on it. So if you have to write 347,210, you can write that number right out here in the space, and then you're able to see, well, I have this number in my tens place, I have this number in my 10,000s place, and it will help you understand not only value, but how to read a number. Your next resource is something that you do have to do. So your description says, there are a plethora of resources available for you to try. So that's saying that there's a whole bunch of stuff in this blend space that you can try. You decide which resources help you learn best and how long you must spend on this in order to master the skill of place value. If you have internet access at home, please use this blend space to study outside of school. So in this blend space, say when you do your calendar, you and the class decide that you're going to spend a week on this blend space because there's so much stuff on here. In this blend space, you get to choose what you want to do. So there's some games, there's some practice websites, there's some videos that you can watch and take notes on. Whatever helps you learn is what you want to do. Now this is where it gets tricky and you really need to learn how to be responsible with yourself. Of course you're going to want to go and play the best game, but maybe it's too easy for you or it's too hard for you. You need to make sure that you're doing what you need in order to be successful. Luckily, you're able to access this at home if you have a computer. If not, you can absolutely go to your local library and you can play those games on all that extra time on your own free time. But when we're at school, we need to be thinking, what do I need to make myself master this? Because in a week's time, you're going to be moved off of this and onto something else. After you finish each one of these resources, you're going to start this checkpoint. Now the checkpoint needs to be done independently the first time. So that means that even though everyone in your team is doing it, you're going to try it by yourself once just to see how you do. Then this checkpoint is going to be turned into the teacher to be looked at. They're going to say, okay, well, you got this one correct. You need to fix this one, and then it will be given back to you. When you get this checkpoint back, it's not a done, you never look at it again. You're going to use this information to make yourself smarter. So now that you have the correct and incorrect answers, the feedback from the teacher, you're going to work as a team and you're going to see, well, why did I get this one wrong? What did I do wrong here? Did I mix up one of the place values? Did I spell something wrong? Do I not understand how to use word form? So I need to go watch another video on it and then go back to answer this question. This is a time where you're going to spend a lot of time with your team collaborating and discussing with each other so that you're fully able to understand whatever you're doing. And it's really important that you do understand it and you don't just move on and say, oh, whatever. Because when you finish this checkpoint, you're moving on to something a little bit different, and in this case, a little bit harder. So here, you're working on just the skill of place value. But then once you finish that and you say you've mastered it, you're moving on to place value word problems. You're going to complete the exact same process that I just explained to you here for these activities and checkpoint, and this one as well. This one doesn't have any activities, so once you finish all these activities in this checkpoint, you'll just go down and do this very next checkpoint. Now, on the 29th or wherever you guys decide on this calendar, you are going to start your performance task. That's when you're going to access the actual assessment. Now, don't forget, all of the resources from Summit, that whatever you're working on, are on the project board. So you can, ahead of time, take one of these home and look at it every single night just to try to get yourself familiar with what you're going to be assessed on, so that when you start working on this in class, you know what you're expecting. You know what questions you're going to need to ask the teacher, or what resources you're going to need, like your place value chart, for example. When you finish your performance task, this is going to be turned into the teacher as well. You are going to be graded on it, and you are going to be given it back. You're not going to get a chance to edit these. With the performance tasks, it's just one and done. Then you are going to get a grade on it, like I showed you on this rubric here, and it's going to be stored in your gradebook on Summit. All right, now let's take a look at the project board in the classroom.